Now, Lee Camp is not only one of the best comedians and comic writers in the United States, he comes from a tradition of people who kick over the traces, kick over the apple cart, who question the authority. He punches up, not down. He questions the official narrative and makes people laugh with his questions. That makes him a very dangerous enemy of the state. And so he had a show called Lee Camp Redacted, which is no longer, although he'll tell us, no doubt, where we can catch up on his work, because he's on the show now. Not redacted here, it's the one and only Lee Camp. Lee, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's start with that. What are you doing now?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I am now, I believe, the most censored comedian in America. As you're referencing, the TV show Gone and all of the back videos, about 1,000 of them all banned on YouTube globally, and my podcast, Moment of Clarity, deleted by Spotify, all in the span of about 3 days. I am building something new, and if people want to support it, it's at leecamp.net. I also am excited to be starting a new show, hopefully soon, with Mint Press, if that fundraiser is successful. So Mint Press News does wonderful work as well.
It does, but how do we account for the fact that you're the most censored comedian in America? How did that happen? Did you ever see yourself as likely to be given such accolades?
No, I definitely did not. And it's funny because we're having this big debate around the globe about cancel culture and comedians being canceled and things like that. And yet everyone they mention on the list of those who are being canceled, Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais, Joe Rogan, none of them have actually been canceled. They are all on the largest video and sound platforms in the world, getting paid $100 million or more. So it is laughable that those are our examples of canceled comedians, while in fact, the likes of me is actually canceled, actually deleted, and actually censored. And you ask why? It's because, like you said, I actually punch up. I actually punch at the ruling elite and go after these parasites, these vampires that are controlling the foreign policy and, of course, the domestic policy as well of America, my home country, and a lot of countries. But, you know, I go after them. I go after those who will perpetrate endless war, who will perpetrate endless imperialism, and have this capitalist system that puts profit over all else. And that will actually get you canceled in a real way, as opposed to the laughable, people claiming they've been canceled because someone got upset on Twitter.
Well, that's a very powerful description of where we're at. Let's turn to the very, very somber issues that are, frankly, bringing your country, which I love, to its knees. The economic crisis is accompanied, paralleled by social division, racial division, the rise of hatred, and the increasingly unhinged behavior of individuals, either in the pursuit of political goals, like the mass murderer in Buffalo, or for reasons that they're simply mentally have gone mad, in the case of the Uvalde school shooting. What on earth is happening to America, and what can be done to save it?
Well, I think on the surface level, you have the gun debate, which I think is a worthwhile debate to have. Our politicians have all been bought off by big industry of one form or another, so they seem completely powerless to do anything, or they are completely spineless. I don't want to act like they're powerless. They're just spineless. But the gun debate also is... We put it in a binary. Everyone likes to put it into a binary. We love a good binary in America, Democrats or Republicans, war or peace, hot or not. We love a binary, and people put the gun debate into a binary of all guns or no guns, when in fact, The truth is, most everyone I've ever spoken to believes in some form of weapon control. I've never met a human who thinks we should all have nukes or should be able to sarin gas a whole town because we get angry one day. So in that respect, if we all agree we believe in some sort of weapon control, then you're just deciding where on the scale that needle should be. And assault weapons being able to take out 50 people in a minute is just pure insanity. And that people don't want to actually have the real debate. But you get below as you referenced, you get below the gun debate, and it's much deeper than that. America has become a powder keg. People have just been exploited by corporate industry to the nth degree. People worry that with the loss of one job or one shift, they won't be able to feed their kids. They can't afford the insane health care, which is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. And when you have that kind of powder keg and you have these kind of weapons, this is how it ends up in really just disgusting, horrific scenes.
They're everyday scenes. As I pointed out earlier, there are 1.63 mass shootings in America per day. Of course, they don't all make the news. They're not all on the scale of the horror that took place in Texas. Did that move the needle at all in terms of what politicians might be likely to do, or is it thoughts and prayers again?
I have no hope that our politicians will ever do the right thing. They have never shown to me that they are willing to put their political life on the line and actually stand up for what's right. That is not how our government has been fully and completely bought. And every time there's one of these horrific mass shootings, everyone does the thoughts and prayers thing. We have semi-automatic thoughts and prayers all over the country, and it does absolutely nothing. Even though they act like it will, it never changes anything. And it's, I always point back to the 2014 Princeton study that showed that if something does not align with corporate interests, it has zero chance of ever getting through Congress. Zero. There is never a moment where a anti-corporate bill of any kind goes through our Congress. And, corporate interests are not aligned with doing anything about gun control, with doing anything about the killing or the underlying causes of all of this madness. And so I have no hope that anything will change in our government.
What about the argument, and I've been having it with some earlier this evening, that your Constitution enshrines the right of the citizenry to bear arms, and that's a good thing, that tyranny is always possible, maybe even more than possible in some countries, including your own. And that the citizens will never allow themselves to be disarmed. Therefore, making it a binary of guns or no guns is almost the very definition of futility. The question is where you draw that line and whether you background check people. And if you did, many of these shooters, the one in Buffalo is a case in point. He plastered all over every wall he could find the kind of insane hatred that he harbored. And yet he was legally able to own a gun. Surely we should be concentrating on these, if you like, details, rather than the binary guns or no guns.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually not opposed. I mean, I'm not for banning all guns in America, both because, as you say, you can end up in a tyranny situation, but also because it's just never going to happen in the United States. It's not how the mentality of our culture. And so I believe the honest debate is just on the size and deadliness of the guns. And having guns that are purely designed to kill as many people as possible would never be used in hunting or anything like that, would never be used to defend yourself against, one burglar or something, unless you're trying to spray them with 50 bullets. Those guns are insane. There's no reason that anyone should have them on that level. But in terms of the Constitution, the truth is the Constitution says you have a right to bear arms in a well-regulated militia, which, of course, we've thrown the second part of the sentence out of the window. That doesn't. No one pays any attention to a well-regulated militia anymore. And on top of it, we've found every loophole there is. We act like the Constitution is a holy document when in fact it's a loopholey document. And we find every excuse there is to get around and inside everything in the Constitution we want to. I mean, the Declaration of Independence said all men are created equal. And at the time, they meant 6% of the population. All men meant all white land-owning males, 6% of the population. So they didn't mean listen to this by the word. And I think that the idea that it means that, because we have a right to bear arms, it means you can have weapons of war that could kill dozens of people in seconds is just idiocy.
And what about the Keystone Cops, Lee? I've never seen a policing performance from all the details that are now emerging. And yet no one seems to pay the price. That grown men, heavily armed grown men, stood outside a classroom while children were being murdered for an entire hour before fetching a skeleton key to allow them to open the door like they've never kicked a door in before.
Yeah, and on top of that, apparently they told the border agents that ultimately were the ones who went in and killed the man. They told them to stay out for a half an hour until those agents decided they weren't going to wait anymore, and they went in. I think what it shows at the heart of it, in my opinion, and maybe the story will get more complicated, but it shows that the police in America, which is one of the largest police forces in the world, to defend one of the largest prison state in the world, the police are not there to actually defend us. 99.9% of what they do is just arrest people, mainly poor people, mainly people of color, and make sure that they're put into the system, put into the prisons, so that we can continue to have the largest prison state in the world, both per capita and per sheer numbers. That's their main job. And to protect the fascist state if the need should arise. Their job, when it comes down to it, is not to run in and try and take on a gunman who's killing children. And we saw that in this instance, that when push comes to shove, they're like, I'm not risking my life to go take this man down. My job is to harangue people who are in poorer communities.
It's a tragic, and it would be comic if it were not so tragic, indeed. Thanks, Lee. I hope everyone will follow you. LeeCamp.net, I think you said.
That's right. If I can get enough members there, I will be restarting a new show.